Hello from Houston. It's Roger D with Texas T, where I bring on the hustlers, entrepreneurs, and prodigies of our great state of Texas. And today's guest that I have on is the host of an amazing show. They started in 2007 with nothing more than ambition and a car full of gear. Now they're on their 11th season. They are a 6-time Lone Star Emmy winning show. And they also are probably the few people you'll ever meet that they don't bat an eye at that sign you see coming in from Louisiana when it says 877 miles. That just sounds like a challenge to them. So I have Chet Garner on today, a.k.a. the DayTripper. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, Roger, man. Doing great. It's another day in paradise. You know that. It's
Oh, yeah.
Texas, man. As long as we're in Texas and we wake up, put our foot on this soil, it's gonna be a good day.
That's true. That's true. I heard the soil in Texas is the best, but then again, I can pretty much take any inanimate object to do with Texas, and Texans will say it's the best.
That's right. Random aside, I just heard about something. I don't think it's an urban legend, but it was somebody that I knew from college, a couple generations away. But it was like they were having a child in New York, and the dad couldn't stand the fact that their son was going to be born in a foreign state, so he got his family to ship him a bag of dirt. So that way, he threw it underneath the table in the delivery room so that his son could be born on Texas soil. That's pretty awesome. I was like, mad
There's,
props to that dad. You
I
got to do what you got to do.
100% believe that. Hey, man,
Yeah.
that only makes sense when you have times like that where it's a clear emergency. You have to take
Yeah.
evasive maneuvers.
That's right.
Well,
That's right. You got to
that's
be willing to
awesome.
pay for a bag of dirt to get shipped across the country because that's what it takes.
Hey, that's a small cost for being born on
Yeah.
Texan soil. So Chet, before we kind of go into the Day Tripper and kind of how that all started, I have a question that I really wanted to ask because in any sort of film, bringing forth any sort of media or movie or series, I know there's a lot of people out there that are hustling and really trying to create their dream. And I'm sure you're there at that point too. And sometimes it gets really tough and you want to quit and you don't want to go on. What would you say to those individuals as probably the biggest piece of advice to keep them going?
I would say this that if you don't have the love to keep going through the difficult times, then you're on the wrong path. And you need to pick something else that you're passionate about. Because for me, I always tell people, listen, you need to do what you love, regardless of whether or not anybody's paying you to do it. And so there are times, as with everything, you're going to hit challenges. But man, if you love what you're doing, then you're just going to push through those like it's no thing, because it doesn't really matter about, what is it? I can't find the money to do it. Who cares? I'm not doing this for money, or I'm getting bad feedback from people about something. And you go, well, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it because I love to do it, and they may not like my art or whatever it is. Anytime you're out in public, there's going to be people who don't like what you do. And when you're on TV, it's just exacerbated tremendously. We get way more good feedback than bad, but the bad guys are out there. And so if that kind of stuff is going to kick you off of your horse, then you're riding the wrong horse. Go and find something that you're passionate about. That way, when the difficult times hit, and they without a doubt will, you're just going to keep riding because you love to ride.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the one point that I really enjoyed hearing there was that you're already doing something you love and you're doing it for yourself. So if you have those haters or naysayers, it doesn't really matter because you weren't doing it for them. I know. I think I had mentioned before that I'm a big Gary Vee fan. He said that he both loves the praise and also it doesn't matter to him at the same time. He's so grateful for those who would give him thanks because that's, who he's really doing it for. But at the same time, if it wasn't there, it wouldn't matter because he's doing it for a particular reason.
Yeah. 100%, Roger. That's dead on. We've been fortunate enough to win a lot of awards, but we've lost more Emmys than we've won. And if I were doing it for that purpose, then man, every time that we didn't win something, it would be a crushing blow of defeat, and I would go into the fetal position in my closet, questioning my life choices. Right? But we don't win, and we slough it off and say, it was cool. It was an honor to be nominated, and we honestly mean that. And you just kind of move on because you're doing it to fulfill that internal fire within you. I give you an example. So I had some friends in undergrad. I went to the University of Texas, and I just found out this week they sold another screenplay that's going to have Martin Lawrence in it, and it's being funded by Steph Curry. It's a comedy about the women's NBA. So I don't exactly know what the story is, but it just came out on all the internal papers and stuff that are in Hollywood. And I think back to these dudes, and these dudes in college wanted nothing more than to hold themselves away over the weekend and write screenplays, while the rest of us were hanging with friends and going to football games and living the college life. They literally were spending the nights busting out screenplays because that's what they love to do. And look at them. They've been nothing but successful. I'm a long ways out of college now, and these guys are still out there writing screenplays. They've got the attention, and their life is plugging away doing that. And it just goes to show, like, man, they honed a craft because they were doing it when no one was paying them.
Yeah.
And they love to do it.
Yeah, and it was replacing times of leisure where most people would see all these other things as fun. They're like, they're already in their bliss.
Yeah, exactly. They're in their bliss. That's a good way to say it. Like, if you can find a priority to dedicate your time and effort to, then Netflix kind of disappears into the distance. It's like, I don't care about binging that show. I'm going to go and do this, like, I love gardening. Well, then gardening is your bliss, and you're going to want to spend more time gardening than you do Netflix. Now, if you say you want to be a gardener, but all you really want to do is sit on the couch and watch Netflix, then you don't really want to be a gardener. Or at least on your list of priorities, being a gardener is somewhere below Netflix. And you need to be honest with yourself and say, like, yeah, I mean, I guess I want to be a gardener, but not as bad as I want to watch Netflix. And then you just have that honest conversation with yourself. And so whatever your dreams are, whatever you're looking to do, I want to be an artist. I want to paint more. I want to hike more. I want to kayak more. I want to, learn how to cook barbecue better, whatever it is. You have to have an honest conversation. Okay, where does that fall on your priority list? And if you find yourself not doing that in your free time, well, it's just not a priority.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm not dogging people who want to sit around and watch Netflix, but don't complain why you're not getting any better at the stuff you want to do, because at night you're just sitting around watching Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's okay to do the leisure. I use that twice.
Oh, yeah.
Word. Yeah.
100%. No. I'm all for time. You got to have time to sit and chill, and decompress and all that stuff. But, if you can find some joy that replaces that need to decompress, then you're just going to want to throw yourself into that.
Yeah.
And that's really the keys to success, when you can find that thing and you go after it with all your heart.
Yeah.
And Netflix fades into the background.
Fades into the dishes. Fades into the Texas sunset.
Yep. That's right, man. There you go.
So you and Richard and Daniel, is that the crew?
Yeah.
The original crew?
Yep. So the original crew, like, you want to go back to the pilot, it was a buddy of mine named Nate, who I knew from film school at UT. And when I wanted to make this show, he just happened to have the keys to the equipment closet at ACC. So Austin Community College. And so he had access to all of these cameras. And we're like, yeah, we should probably ask the dean. So we got her permission. And then we went out, and it was me, him, Richie, and my wife. And we made a little show about Waco. I had gone to graduate school in Waco. And so I knew that Waco had all these cool little hidden gems, but people in Austin and Central Texas always dogged Waco. It was a pit stop at best. And so we thought, man, if we could bring a town like Waco to life and kind of make people's paradigm shift, that there are these cool things that are hidden, they just got to dig a little bit. Then we could, if we could do it with Waco, we could essentially do it with any town. And we were way before Fixer Upper, man. Chip and Joanna, nah, they weren't even on our radar. And so we started to make one about Waco. It started to snowball, and then it went on. And yeah, of those, Nate, found out he didn't like the road as much. He loves filmmaking, so he's still doing filmmaking. But that idea of like road dogging, that's a whole different bear. And but Richie still makes the show with us for sure. On occasion, he started to dial back himself on some episodes, but we've opened up every episode to him if he wants to get back on the road with us.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, that I was looking to clarify the DayTripper gang because I wanted to ask, since we're talking about passion and what you guys really enjoy doing, what about the idea of originally going to Waco and finding those gems? What about that was like, man, this is something I could do for the rest of my life?
I think, I had no idea first and foremost that I would be doing this a decade in. That's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
I guess I just kind of thought we're going to give this a shot. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to being an attorney, which I was at the time.
Oh, cool.
And so, that's a whole nother past life. And so I was like, yeah, if it doesn't work, I'll just run back in and do something until I find the next passion and I'll run down it. And so it was like, I'm a traveler. I've traveled a lot abroad. So like people ask if I ever get out of Texas. Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of stepping away from Texas that helped me appreciate Texas. And so I just thought, man, we need more national media, and I say national in quotes, like, the nation of Texas, that shows me all I can eat, see, and do in my home state. It's like, and then other people too, like, national, the real national media really only shows you a few places. Like, how many travel shows have we seen about Chicago deep dish pizza now? Like there's just a bazillion, but there's none making shows about those little small town barbecue joints that are an hour and a half from my back door. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I wanted to make something that was more relevant to the people watching, because literally they can get in their car and they can go. And I thought, man, this would be cool if we could make something that was more actionable for Texans. Like hopefully there's a version of me making something for the Northwest or New York or wherever. I don't care. But like, I'm the dude who's telling Texans where they can go. And that's, I think, what's helped us stay on so long, is because there are so many Texans who literally base all their family vacations off of what we do.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty darn cool. Yeah.
So, so giving advice to Texans on where they can keep their touristing. I don't know if that is a verb. Or
we'll call it. Yeah, that's
we'll
true.
Call it that within our great
yeah, that's
state.
A verb. Of course it is.
If I have someone listening, because there's a lot of people that listen to this that are just Houston, but if you were to suggest someone who is kind of a homebody right now, hasn't really seen too much of Texas yet, sadly, what would be your top 3 they have to see?
Ooh,
put you on the spot.
Man.
I'm sorry.
No. Like, I'm going to speak specifically to your Houston audience right here.
From Houston.
So, all right. If you live in Houston and you're kind of like stuck in that Houston bubble and you think the entire world is nothing but loop after loop after loop, and the Houston bubble is literally a bubble. It's not just one bubble; it's 3 bubbles, because there's the loop. When I grew up I grew up in Southeast Texas. It was 610 and then Beltway 8, and now there's Grand Parkway 99. It was like, it just is enclosing itself in more and more bubbles. Yeah, insane. So, man, I would say first and foremost, like, go to one of my favorite places in Texas is Brazos Bend State Park. So go to the swamps, because you're going to go down there, and there at Brazos Bend State Park, you will literally walk through the swamps, 3-4 feet from alligators that are basking in the sun. So all these alligators come out of the swamp, and they literally sit on top of the trails that you have to walk around. So like, that's pretty darn cool. The rest of the world is like, what? So you could do something in Houston, and that's maybe an hour or so from downtown Houston. You can do something there that no one else can, which I think is really, really cool. You need to head to, let's say, the Bluebell Creamery. Go eat some ice cream in Brenham, and Brenham's got a charming downtown. So you get that quintessential downtown sort of thing going on. Not too far from there is Washington on the Brazos, birthplace of Texas, where you can see where we signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. So I'd say, Brenham, kind of a Richmond day trip, and then, man, head east and go in the pines. Go get lost in the pines somewhere. Like, let's say Huntsville, or like east of Huntsville, and kind of just get lost in those beautiful pine trees.
Oh yeah.
So Houston's got really good stuff. And not to mention, Galveston and the beach. And the beach in Galveston is only one aspect of it, because the history of Galveston's phenomenal. You go to the Strand or tour Bishop's Palace, or oh gosh. I mean, I love Galveston, just because really nowhere else do you get that deep history of stuff.
Yeah.
So I could keep going and going and going.
No, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff, and it's amazing how it seems to me, of the shows I've watched, you can take pretty much anything, any preface, any location, and you make it magical in its own right. So how do you do
thank
that?
you.
How do you present that way?
Well, I mean, it's hard. That's one of the tough parts, and I think I needed to be up for the challenge. And so what I was like, my crew was super nervous when I put this in. I was like, we're doing a viewer's choice. We're going to let the viewers pick, and they can send us to the most dirt patch part of Texas ever, and I'm going to make a show about it. And so we started doing that, and the viewers actually picked some pretty great places, but there were some places I didn't know anything about, like Tomball, Wichita Falls, all kinds of spots. And that was super fun, because you get to dive into a town that you don't know anything about and start to unravel the stories. And for me, it's really all about stories. So when I go to let's say I'm going to go, I mean, you name the town, Conroe or something like that. I go, okay, Conroe. What is Conroe? What is it that makes Conroe different from every other highway town within 30 miles of Houston? And you start to kind of just peel back the onion, and you find things. And it does help that I've got 10 years of objectivity. I can look at a town and be like, whoa, I've never seen that ever anywhere else. And you're like, you find, all right, what are my institution restaurants? What are those restaurants that are gritty and greasy and have been around for 75 years? Chances are they've been around 75 years for a reason. And so I'm going to dive in and go eat. And we found one, Conroe just comes to mind, Catfish Cabin. And so Country Catfish. So we went to Country Catfish, legit catfish, been around for decades and decades. And then you just start looking, and you can look online for a ton of stuff. Sometimes I actually have to get in my car and go drive the back roads, and I find stuff, because there are still people hiding out from the internet these days, which seems wild in this day of, like, we think everything's online, and the polling of presidential races and stuff, that we're able to gauge everybody. It's like, no, go drive around. Like, there are people legitimately hiding out from the internet. They don't have any social media, and they like it that way.
Yeah.
So you got to go find them. And so I drive around a lot. In Conroe, we found a wolf sanctuary stuck back in the pines.
Yeah,
which was pretty rad.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool. But like, that's the only wolf sanctuary I know of in Texas. And so you start throwing the things together, and you go, that's a pretty cool show.
Yeah. So you do a lot of research beforehand, from the standpoint of not so much Googling, but trying to wrap your head around the bones of the place.
Yeah. I mean, at its heart, I make video, but I'm a storyteller. Like, that's at its heart, I'm a storyteller. Yeah, my medium is video, but I'm trying to find the best story about these places that I can. And so it takes a little while to kind of feel like I'm understanding who a town is, or what a town adds to the grand tapestry of Texas, if you will. And so that's that to me is the most fun part. And that's the part I will never get tired of is, exploring small towns. I think that's the biggest joy to me. And if I'm given a day off, I'm not going to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. I'm getting in my car and I'm just driving somewhere I've never been, that I love. Going to find a barbecue joint I've never been to, going to go to a state park I've never seen, going to pop into a museum to just see what the heck it is. That's where I find a ton of fun stuff. So I've got this running list now, a decade in, of places I've heard of or I want to go, or like Roger, like you would tell me a place like, oh, I've never heard of that. I add it to a spreadsheet. The beginning, it was all little pieces of napkins with all these thousands of little jotted notes. And I finally had to get super, super anal because I was like pulling out literally scratches of paper from everything. And I started to put it in a spreadsheet. And now I've at least got the spreadsheet. It's taken me a decade to get a method, but it's there now at least.
Method to the madness, for sure. And,
something like that, yeah.
So it seems like bring it kind of back what we talked about with passion. It's you're an explorer at heart, it seems, and you add that to your want to weave a story, and you got a pretty good combo there.
I think so. I mean, if the people turn off the show, then we'll go disappear and I'll go find something else to do for a living. But, people kind of give us the license to do whatever we want just because they're continuing to put it on. But even if I lost my spot on TV, I'd probably still keep doing it on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it's just too much fun.
Yeah, and I was curious about that because the amount of media that you can show outside of PBS, how does all that work?
I think we've had to learn to adapt on that front because I was very much like, nah, we are a PBS television show. Like we make PBS. And so I didn't really want to jump into YouTube in the early days. I was like, nah, that's just cat videos. And, people getting hit in the crotch with the baseball bat from their toddler. It's like it was good America's stuff. Funniest home videos in the early days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, we're a YouTube show, and if I give too much away on YouTube, then people aren't going to watch the show. And I think I've had to adapt in that front. I mean, everybody is watching YouTube, and nowadays people aren't really even watching traditional TV anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people say that a lot, and there's true that, traditional TV is going down, but the numbers of traditional TV are still enormous. But we've had to say okay, listen, just because we take the show and chop it into bits and put it on YouTube doesn't mean they're not going to watch the show. In truth, these are really two separate markets. Mm-hmm. And so you've got all the people who spend all their time on YouTube. They're not really watching traditional TV that much. And so if we stick to only traditional TV, we're just going to miss them completely.
Yeah.
And so we've had to adapt and bob and weave in all those fronts. And I think now I'm realizing that we still need to just get our stuff out everywhere. And yeah, YouTube's monetized, but it's not it's certainly not going to fund my staff. PBS is where most of our people who are funding this thing care about. So by all means, we're going to keep doing that. And we love PBS. They're a phenomenal partner for us. So we'll stay there. We'll go here, and we'll just try to get it out as many places as we can. Because Roger, this we're in the wild west of content creation now. I mean, podcasting is just, people have some methods to it, but the explosion of it is just kind of creating all these opportunities for people who never had opportunities like this ever. We'll rise or fall based on the value of what we're bringing people. But it's wild. YouTube, PBS, streaming, on-demand streaming, it's all over the place. So that's been kind of a really fun thing to be a part of. We've really ridden this content frontier, so to speak. Yeah. We're still trying to figure it out. I mean, we don't have it dialed in,
I mean, hey, you're definitely jumping off onto the points that, as you were saying, it's growing. You guys doing your own podcast as well. And what made you? Because I think I saw you're in the 60s, episode 60, something.
No, gosh, no. We are 131 episodes now.
Oh wow, way off.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
I mean, insane,
I remember what
insane.
brought me to you was episode 59. So in my head, I was thinking maybe a few more had already been done.
All good,
So
all good, man. Oh, you're talking about the podcast.
yes,
No,
yes.
in the podcast, I think we just recorded 70. Sorry, you're not that far off, man.
Okay, okay.
I was thinking of the actual television show. No. The
Gotcha.
podcast, yeah. I think it's 70. We're gonna record 71 next week. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I wasn't too far.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I remember
Nah,
distinctly
not too far.
episode 59 was where I was like, oh, who's this DayTripper guy? And
Yeah, you're right. Right.
what made you jump into podcasting? And when did that happen?
Oh man, so we went on a 2-year hiatus with podcasting. I think we saw an opportunity to tell more stories. It was not a thing of like, hey, let's just fill more airtime, or hey, there seems to be a money grab here or whatever. Like, it was very much a, gosh, I wonder if the audio realms have opportunities for us to tell stories that we're not able to tell. And so initially we were using it as almost supplementary to the television show. So we would podcast with different the things behind the scenes, things that you're like, hey, you saw us do this, but here's the real story behind that. Or to have guests on that were, adventurers or outdoor cooks or Texas music artists. And so it was kind of like, hey, this is a cool opportunity. And we did it for 50 something episodes, and then honestly kind of burned out on it and got so busy with some other stuff that we just hit pause for 2 years. And only within the last 6 months have we fired it back up, because it was kind of like, oh man, we really enjoyed that. Let's get back into it. So I think, we needed to focus. It wasn't just like, hey, here's a marketable revenue stream, because it was like, if we just went after it because it was a marketable revenue stream, then we had no grounding on our content, no idea of what stories we would even fill time with. And so we came to it with a content first kind of mentality. And there's still a lot of things I want to do with it, but who's got all the time in the world, man? It's tough.
No, for sure. And that's good that you guys looked at it from a standpoint of what can I be bringing more to my audience instead of how can I extract, which I think
I want more money from my sponsors. So because what if we did it poorly, it would just devalue all the other stuff we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make sure it was kind of a value add for everybody. And we think we've done a good job as of now,
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag of Texas is what our content is. We call it Talkin' Texas, and just kind of a chance for our viewers to hear more from us. And we bring crazy news stories about what's happening in Texas, artists, music, Texas music artists, things like that. It's fun though. Super fun.
I think
and answer viewer questions.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I know that I think I found you guys because I really liked the thought of Talking Texas as a podcast name when I was originally trying to figure things out. But I was like, damn, okay. But yeah,
hey, you got Texas Tea with Roger D. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. We're trying to figure out the brand more and more, because it's not necessarily Texas Tea is so much about business entrepreneurs. So we're thinking of maybe Texas business tastes the sweetest or something like that. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're throwing it around.
I like it.
But aside from the podcast, man, because I really think the DayTripper is absolute gold content for TikTok. That's what I think.
That's one of those things, man. We got limited hours in the day, so you weigh value of doing it versus time and effort that you're gonna have to put into it. Yeah. And dude, it is just, TikTok is a overwhelming mountain in front of us that we're just like, oh gosh. Are you on TikTok? Are you doing it?
I'm so behind because obviously I'm doing Eastwood priority, right?
Yeah,
And
of
then
course.
Texas T is second. But like I have my content strategy is to get outside of YouTube and podcasting is to get out on TikTok and get out on Instagram because I could create clips from it, and that's the best medium. So technically, am
Yeah.
on there. I have made the first TikTok clip. I have this week. I've put aside some time to really get into. I had to figure out how to do captions for the Instagram videos, and I wanted to do them
Oh,
both,
yeah, yeah,
both
yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
once, and how I was going to do the aspect ratio for TikTok to make it kind of look,
Sure.
So I got over that hump last week, and now,
You're further along than me, man. You're further along than me. It's one of those things. And like, so now Instagram has reels and we've
yeah,
already developed so much and we've already put so much effort into Instagram. The question is, should we just stick to reels on IG or does it make sense to do both of these things? In the same way, I feel like Instagram stories really took the wind out of Snapchat sales. I'm wondering if Reels is going to do the same thing to TikTok.
I
Man, it's
wonder.
exhausting kind of keeping your finger on the pulse of all of this.
I
And like,
know.
to the point earlier, like I want to be a Texas traveler and storyteller and spending more time on my phone is not part of my Chet lives his best life equation.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah. You gotta
mean,
do what
I
you
would
love, man.
totally, yeah, totally hire that out to somebody if I can find somebody that could do that efficiently. And then the question is, all right, like this is a business for us, so we take a TikTok audience. How do I translate that into money? More money for my partner, sponsors. Our sponsor, right? I mean, TikTok's not monetized. So you got all these, I've got partners though
Hmm.
that want to, partner with me and I can carry their brand message out there. We've been doing some of that influencer stuff as much as I hate that word, like that is something we've been doing. Do I see possibilities that my sponsors, the people I have relationships with, want to be on TikTok? And as of right now, none of them give a flip about TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if they decide they want to do TikTok, am I too far behind the ball when that opportunity arises? Or do I just, pass that buck to the younger chaps than me? I
Yeah,
just turned 40 less than a month ago, so
looking good for
I'm
40,
getting
man.
I'm getting up there, man. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think your idea of hiring out definitely because you don't want to put the time into it because that will just take away from your joy I think that's a huge point because you started this
yeah,
and you've put in the time and you've put in all those hours into it, but you did it because it made you so happy and you were happy to make that content. If it starts becoming a drag, right, it's going to be terrible.
yeah.
I don't know if you saw
Right,
that
right.
show or heard about it, My Octopus Teacher.
No, no.
So I don't watch a ton of. Watch very little content myself, honestly.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So Netflix has this documentary, My Octopus Teacher. I just started it last night. Watched maybe like half an hour of it and then went to bed. But basically, this guy lost all his interest in videography and editing, and he was like, "How can I like reignite this?" So he had to find a whole nother realm to go into for it. So that is, even though you would be cutting up content for the show that you love, it would be through a medium that you feel like is taking you away from life, right? The phone's
Yeah,
taking you away from life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it would quickly be a giant drag
Yeah.
on everything. And plus, like, we've the keeping up with the notifications across all of it is already just
Oh my God. Yeah.
exhausting. And
Yeah.
so like I'd hate to throw in something else that I'm not passionate about and I don't have a good game plan for how I'm going to use that to the benefit of the company.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. It's tough. We make video content, and now is a really good time in the world to be making video content.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to make content for the sake of content that sucks people's,
Yeah.
life away. Have you watched The Social? Oh gosh, what's it
I
called?
have seen some
The
of it.
reason,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
saw a
Social
little bit of
Dilemma.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I saw the
Yeah,
premise about it. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, man.
exactly. And so you watch it and you're like, you knew all of that stuff was happening, but then you watch it even closer, you're like, oh gosh, it's even dirtier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know.
Dude, well, because
So
they want to. I was making a joke to Gonzalo. He's not in the room, but because I'm trying this new thing. I know we're getting off topic here, but I was trying this
it's all
new
good.
thing where I don't look at my texts for large portions of the day, and I try to answer everything. And I tell my whole team, I say, "Hey, look, something you really need, call me." You know,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
reply to everything. And I was like making a joke because the way the Apple comes out with all these new updates, and their sole focus is how can I keep them on this phone longer? How can I make this
Yes.
phone more part of their life? So yeah, man, that's their job is to make
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah. We all got to be addicted to it, and they want you to constantly be diving in and checking it. And I've had a lot of heart checks in my life to go like, okay, is that who I want to be? Does that add value to my people, my family, myself? And the answer to a lot of that's no. It's just, it's decompression time. It's easy to zone out and scroll Instagram
Oh
for
yeah,
an
man.
hour.
It's wild.
But like, is that really what I want to do? Is that who I want to be? So I've got to check that stuff all
Yeah.
the time.
And I know you said
Yeah.
specifically, I think this kind of rolls into, I think we talked about last time that your favorite places to visit were very nature based. And technology today is
Oh,
taking
yeah.
us so far away from that.
Oh, so far. So far. And yeah, and I think the most formative places in my life were nature places. I mean, I was a scout, and I just remember like, gosh,
right, we talked about that too.
that's where I sort of discovered who I was and what I loved. That's where my faith was strengthened, going out and like standing on mountaintops and looking at God's creation, going, all right, I see the great painter of all of this, And so I think of like all the different ways that was formative in my life. And to hate to think that we're losing that, or my kids aren't going to have those opportunities. So
Yeah.
man, it's a struggle. You both love this device and you hate this device
know.
with all of your passion. So
I know. But when you can be away from it, I swear, man, yesterday was probably one of my best days in a while in terms of no technology constraints. And I was like making calls and getting work done. I was singing to myself. Everything was just like amazing. Like everything was like every little part was just like a blessing. Because,
Hey, man, there you go.
yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
yeah. I think we've got to get back to some of that stuff. I mean, I was talking with someone today about the idea like of a BlackBerry. I mean, like, this idea, like, I remember having this like internal dilemma. I was like, whoa, wait, my email is going to follow me around everywhere? No way. I will never let my email follow me around. And when I went and got my first job at a law firm as a lawyer, the first thing they did was give me this BlackBerry, and they were like, here are the expectations. You got to respond to every email within 10 minutes or something like that. And it was just like, oh my gosh. It was, and I remember the fear of this idea that my email would follow me around. And now, man, we've gone so far past that. It is just a given that you will never escape your email, and you have to intentionally turn it off because it will follow you around everywhere.
Yeah, I have 0 notifications on my phone other than I can get a call, DocuSigns, and somehow Uber has snuck in there, and I keep forgetting to turn it off.
You're better than me, Roger. I don't even know how to turn off some of these notifications sometimes. So it's just like a bunch of garbage. Yeah. a bunch of garbage, but I'm not that guy who has to make sure there's no red dots on my stuff. Like right now I've got, I'm one of these guys. Inbox 0 is a fantasy land in a Mario level.
Oh, yeah.
I will never be at inbox 0. And then, I've got 12 unchecked voicemails. I don't even know when these things are from. Some of them are months old, I think, at least. The people important in my life know how to get a hold of me, and I will always answer their call. There's some of the other stuff that if I don't block it out, I'll just do nothing but put out fires and spend a whole day in the fray of the noise.
I know.
Because there's a million things. Like I could literally refresh Instagram 1,000 times, refresh YouTube 1,000 times, Facebook 1,000 times, and email 1,000 times. It's been nothing but bouncing between those and answering things. And at the end of the day, that's just not productive time because I'll get home at night and have no idea what I did. All the things I put on my to-do list did not get accomplished. And the day was kind of draining and exhausting for me. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I always tell, I tell people you should finish a day sort of inspired and ready for the next one. If you're finishing your days drained and exhausted, then you might be in the wrong business. Now there's something to be said about having a good day, good workout where I'm exhausted, but I'm also kind of overjoyed. It's there's something to be said about that. Oh, it was an exhausting day, but it was a good day. I spent my time well versus the days that are just draining and soul sucking.
Yeah. And that's what they'll do it to you. And I know everyone listening definitely was like, man, I'm really happy that they talked about technology and its drains on society because that's what we're here for. But I think we could tie it back and say, as per your entire premise of the show, put the phone down, get in the car, and see some things in real life.
Yeah. I joke a lot. I say I want to make a TV show that makes people watch less TV.
Well, technically, that's kind of what you're doing, right?
I hope. And I'm kind of like you, man. I don't watch much TV in life at all. So I say, I'm a pusher, not a user as well.
I know. I always have a weird thought about that. I'm like, man, I'm starting a podcast, or I've been doing this podcast, and sometimes I don't even know what happens in my podcast because I don't even have the time to listen to it. So
yeah. Well, that's good, man. You've clearly you've got a gift at chatting and interviewing people, and to have somebody that'll take it and spend the time, crunching away the editing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
good thing. Keeping you in your strength zones, giving Gonzalo a chance to kind of be in his strength zone. You're in your strength zone, and that's a recipe for magic, man.
He's a magician for sure. All right, well, I know you got to run pretty soon, so thanks for coming on, Chet. If you guys want to find the DayTripper, by the way, it's thedaytripper.com, Facebook, the DayTripper, YouTube, the DayTripper. I think actually TV if you do the /. And then on Instagram and Twitter, you got @ChetTripper. And I think I got everything. But PBS. Watch him on PBS. When they watch you on PBS?
Oh, dude, it's different in every market. That's the beauty of PBS. Yeah. In Houston, It's Saturdays at 3:30 in the afternoon, but I think they've also got a Sunday morning time. So
got you. Okay, got you. So watch him on PBS, of course.
Yeah.
And if you guys have questions for Chet, you can go to any of that social media, or you can put it in the comments below on the YouTube at Texas T Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Soon, I keep saying this, soon to be TikTok, Instagram, and you can always shoot me, Roger D, a message. Thanks for coming on, man. It was a pleasure, and keep on keeping on with those day trips.
Keep on tripping. Keep on tripping is what we say. Keep on tripping. Yeah. And vaya con Dios, amigos.
I love it, man. All right, Chet. I'll talk to you later, brother.
Absolutely, Roger. Take care.